Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chell and this is Chell Reads a Bit. So today's video is going to be very different than something I've done. It's been a long time since I've done something similar to this, but I was very inspired, and sorry if you see a glare on my glasses from the ring light. I need my glasses in order to see what I'm doing, so this time, I can't do anything, so we're gonna have to get over it. And if you see disarray behind me, mind your business. It's life, because Chibi Boy is a menace, so we have things to keep him from jumping on things, just bear with me. But like I said, today's video was inspired because I've been seeing tier list videos forever. But I think I was watching G from Book Roast tier rank all of her books that she read. I think it was G from Book Roast, I'll leave her link down below. Pretty sure it was her. I watched tier ranking all the books she read in 2022. And I was like, you know what? I kind of want like a video I can do monthly since I don't do wrap-ups. So I was like, well, why don't I do a video where I tier rank all the books I read in that month and then I accumulate it each month. And then at the end of the year, we look back on it. And so that's what I figured I would do. That's what I'm doing. So this is for July, but I'm doing all of the backlist books in July. So then after this point, it's just whatever book is in that month. So August, we'll have only August, but since I'm starting it now, I'm doing from January to July, which is not that many books. Well, I consolidated some of them, so it's not as many, so it shouldn't be as long, but that's pretty much what we're doing here today. If you see the microphone, I'm sorry, I need to close my face, but if you can't see it, that's great. But bear with me, this is new. I gotta get used to it because it's a setup. It's quite a setup. My boyfriend was very lovingly helping me set up, so huge thanks to him. But before we do get into the video, please feel free to give a like and subscribe. I would love to have you here. It really makes my day. It really makes Chibi's day. I would love seeing you here. So why don't we just get on into it? Like I said, I'm tier ranking all the books that I've read in the month, but this is the first, so it's going to be from January to July. And if you hear a fan, it's the fan that my boyfriend's laptop is on, where I'm recording the list. But so that's what you hear. So sorry if you can hear that. I'll try my best to make sure that's not as apparent in the final video. But yeah, so it's pretty much all of the books that I read since January. The only thing is, like, in January I did read all of Kamisama Kiss from volume 2 to 25. I consolidated that into just this image that has a few of them, because I was not about to tier rank all 24 volumes that I read. Not happening. I'm sorry. ain't happening. So I will be looking at my phone because I want to go in order from what I read and what in each month. So let's get started. So we're gonna go through the tier rank, the list, the tiers. Is that what it is? The tiers. So let's start from the top and go to the bottom. So top, which would be S tier, is living rent free, because it is living rent free in here 24/7. It don't gotta pay anything. It is just there. It was amazing. I loved it. Favorite book. It sticks with me. I really loved it. And even if it doesn't stick with me, it still was a favorite. So that's that one. And then a little below that is amazing, but fell short of perfect. So it's like, it was so close. She was so close, but she just, she slipped up a little bit. She just wasn't quite there. And then Lost in the Middle of the Road, which it kind of is self-explanatory. It just was the middle road book. Like, it was fine. Nothing too great. Nothing too horrible about, not too horrible about it, but it was just fine. Nothing wrong with that. Like a 3 stars. Then Who Is She? I don't remember reading her. Unforgettable. Did I read her? I don't remember. Obviously something that's not sticking with me at all. Something I didn't care about. I could literally have not read the book and it would be the same the same thing. And then of course Garbage Can, which means it's trash. It's trash. It needs to be put in the garbage can. It ain't for me. It ain't good. I hated it. Then of course I wanted to include DNFs, because technically those, I did try to read them, but I'm just not finishing them, so I don't want to put them in any other category because I did not finish them. I will say if I think which one it should be, but it's just gonna go in DNFs. So should we get started? First and foremost, I read all of Kamisama Kiss, the manga series by Julieta Suzuki, in January. I read from volume 2 to 25. This is just showing a few of them, but because I wasn't about to put all of them on here, so this is like about Nanami Momozono, whose father is a gambler, and he racks up a lot of debt, and then they lose the apartment, but he has run off. He's left her, abandoned her, and she's lost the apartment. She's homeless. She helps this man, who then gives her his shrine, and she becomes the god of the shrine, and it's her from there. If you watched my video talking about it, I love this manga series, so clearly it lives rent-free. I did watch the anime long ago. There's only 2 seasons, but the manga continues way after, what happens after that. There's still more, which I recommend watching and reading. It's like a slice of life, coming of age. Nanami is just trying to find her way in being this god, and she's not perfect. She has to work really hard at it, and it's just so precious. So it lives rent-free, no doubt about it. But I'll link that video down below if you want to hear all my thoughts. They're very incoherent, and it's not a review. I don't really review books, I just tell you how I feel about. So that was the first one. After that, I read The Highland Falcon Thief, right here, which is a middle grade, by S.J. Leonard or something like that. I'm sorry, I don't remember. But it's a middle grade about this boy who goes on this train. It's like the Adventures on Train series, so he goes on this train with his uncle, and there's like this mystery, and he's solving it. So I really enjoyed it. It was cute. It was fun. I'd put it in amazing but fell short because it's not quite like living rent free, but it was really cute. It was really fun. It was, of course, a sweet, innocent, fast middle grade to get through. And that's pretty much all I have to say. It's cute. I want to continue the series. I know there's quite a few, but I've only read the first one because I had it on my Kindle. But it was very fun. It was very cute. And then continuing in January, I believe. I think this was in February. I think I read The Highland Falcon Thief either in February or March. Let's take a gander. In March, because after reading Kamisama Kiss, I was in such a hangover because it was so amazing. I loved it. 5 stars for all of those. I was in hangover until like March, and that's when I started my vlog series where I'm like doing a TBR game each week. And I think that was like the first one was The Highland Falcon Thief. So that's that. So that was March. So after that was Hawk Song, which was like a throwback favorite, which I had read like years ago, and I really enjoyed it, and so it was on my TBR list. I did roll it, and so I read it from my Kindle on the library, and amazing. Like it's a favorite, but I don't think it lives rent-free. It doesn't live rent-free. It's amazing but fell short because I still love it. It was still fun. It was still, it has aged a bit. It does feel like an old throwback kind of YA story about shifters. Like it's like the hawks and the snakes. These people can turn into those forms and stuff, and they're like rivals. They've been at war for ages, and it's like, for what? And so it's just pretty much that, like really stereotypical old YA. But I still enjoyed it. I still had a good time. I still want to read the second one, which I've read up before. It's called Snake Charm. But it was a good time. So definitely amazing, but fell short because I can't give it 5 stars, but it was still a favorite. And I believe this was for like the magical readathon? Yes. So one of the prompts was nonfiction. So I read The Stranger Beside Me by Anna Rule, which was about her experience with Ted Bundy and talking about that thing and everything. If you hear that, it's Chibi Boy eating his hay. Sorry about that. Can't do anything about it. He needs to eat. But it's a nonfiction about her and having known Ted Bundy and like talking about Ted Bundy and everything. And I was enjoying it. It was a long book, and that was the first one I finished. And that was supposed to be my side book during the magical readathon that I wasn't rolling because it was so long. But I finished it immediately. Like, it didn't take me long because I was very engrossed in it. But upon reflection at the end, like, there was things that were really pissing me off. So I'm gonna say lost in the middle of the road, but it was more because things that, like, the narrative kind of pissed me off a lot. Like, she stuck with Ted Bundy way too long after everything she was talking about within, like, what he had done, even if she wasn't sure if he did it. Like, he was being accused, but she didn't want to burn that bridge. And I'm like, girl, from what they're trying to say that he did, I would have been out the door quickly. Like, I don't know, she pissed me off. You'll have to watch that video. I'll try to find where I talk about it, but I hated her narrative on that. Like, she stuck by Ted Bundy way too long. So I did read that, Lost in the Middle of the Road. That's where it's gonna go. Then also on that was Every Heart a Doorway, which was also a reread. And I really enjoyed it. Every Heart a Doorway I have read. It's the only one of the Wayward Children's that I've ever really read, because I did have a copy of it. I really enjoyed it. I loved the main character's perspective. I really was intrigued by, like, her door and everything, and I wanted to read more from her. But the end of the book is, like, I'm not gonna spoil it, but I don't know if they go back to her at all, but I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it lives rent-free. My sister loves Shauna Maguire, loves the Wayward Children, so she would probably kill me if I put it anything shorter, like below amazing, but fell short of perfect, because it did fall short. It was short. It's a short book. But I really enjoyed it. It was really great. And I really want to continue. And it is on my Magical Readathon TBR this autumn equinox, so I'm excited. It is audiobook. I do prefer physical. I prefer physical, and then if I have to ebook, and then if I have to audio. But I did listen to that one audio when I reread it, because I don't have my copy. But that was amazing, but fell short. I really loved it. I feel like everyone should know what the Wayward Children series is about, so I'm not gonna really go into that. Then next was also within the Magical Readathon. I think it was the spring equinox. It was Amelia Fang and the Barbaric Ball, which is the first book in the Amelia Fang series. It's about Amelia, who is a vampire within the town of Nocturnia, and it's just her and her friends' antics. She meets a new character within this book, and it just goes from there. It is so cute. It's a cute children's book by Laura Ellen Anderson. It's amazing illustrations. Totally recommend. Had a great time. I don't think because it's a children's book. I'm not the intended audience, so I can't say living rent free because it wasn't 5 stars. But I really, really enjoyed it. So I'll put it in amazing but fell short, because it wasn't lost in the middle of the road. Because it was really cute. I really enjoyed it, and I did just read the second one. It was so cute. I mean, they're so fun. They're so... I can't. I cannot go anything shorter than that. Sorry if I'm, like, plowing through these, but there's a lot. Probably after this point, it's not going to be as many, so I could probably go into more depth, but this video will be way too long if I go too in-depth with all of them. And then within the Magical Readathon, so I might as well address this now. One of the prompts, I did have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. This was the second time I was trying to read it. The first time I stopped because things were going on. It was before my boyfriend had to come back to Thailand after graduation, and I think I'd stopped reading November 2021, and then I just never picked it back up. And then when I got here, I had bought another copy, and then I rolled it, and it was within my Magical Readathon TBR, so I rolled it, and then I was like, okay. So I tried reading it, and I DNF'd it, because I was not going to waste my time on that. And I did skim to the ending, and I was like, I'm so glad I DNF'd it, because I would have been pissed off if I went through that whole ass book for that ending. No. I know a lot of people love it, but I really couldn't. At some point, the writing started to grate on my fucking nerves. You gotta get a little snappier with you getting to your point, because I get how it's beautiful writing, but at some point, the metaphors and everything were just being, like, way too much just to get to a stupid-ass concept of a sentence. And I was like, you know what? I'm kind of done. And then the aspect of the twist of why this person could remember her, I saw coming from a mile away, and I didn't want it to be that case. I don't know if there was any other way she could have done it, but I just didn't like it. So that I DNF'd it. I was not enjoying my time. They were getting annoying. So I'm happy for everyone who loves this book, because I know Jess from Jess Owens loved it. A lot of people love that book, and I really, really, really tried, but I hated it. Like, at the end, I was enjoying the beginning, but then at some point I was like, I'm so tired of this. Like, okay. So I did DNF that. And then, on my Magical Readathon TBR, as usual, was Keeper Velocities. It's a reread because I am starting to highlight and annotate my copies, so I did want to restart. So I did have the first one on a TBR. Can you guess what is on my autumn equinox TBR? I'll let you figure that out on your own. But so I reread the first one, Keeper Velocities by Shannon Messenger, one of my favorite middle grade series. So you can know, you know where it's gonna go. You know. Because, what can I say, these books live rent free in my brain. I cannot, I just love them. Like, obviously it's a very stereotypical chosen one trope. Sophie's very good at things, very quick. But there's some things that she's not as well, but she's overpowered for the sake of being overpowered, but I still love it. I enjoy my time. I enjoyed also highlighting and tabbing it. That was new. That was a fun experience. So I did enjoy that. And so, of course, it lives rent-free. It's one of my favorite middle grade series. Can I put it any lower? No. Also, I read The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie-O, so I did try starting this book after I finished the Kamisama Kiss series in January. Like, January 28th, I DNF'd it for a bit because I didn't read anything until March, like I said. And so I didn't finish this. Or didn't really get very far. So I put it on my Magical Readathon TBR for the spring because there was a flower on it, and that was one of my prompts. And I did finish it, and oh my gosh, did I love it. I cried at the end. I just connected with the character in some ways so much, and sometimes the writing was a bit disjointed for me, or didn't flow, or it was the pacing was a bit off, but I still loved it. It is kind of stereotypical. You could see things coming, but I still loved it. I still enjoyed the journey. I loved seeing where it was going, and like the romance. I mean, I just loved it. I don't know if it lives rent free. It was amazing, but fell a little short because obviously there are those issues where I had with the pacing and like the flow, but it was real close, and I really, really, really loved it. I think it was really high, 4 stars. Then I read Dark Waters by Catherine Arden. It is the 3rd book in the... I don't remember what it's called, but the first one is... I can never remember the first one's name. But the new one is like Empty Smiles. The second one was Dead Voices. And the first one was Small Spaces. Finally got there. I had to go backwards. I did read the first 2. I enjoyed it. It's about Ollie, whose mom passed away, and then she finds this book, and like things go from there, spooky things. And from the second one, it's following all 3 of them. So this was the 3rd one. This was on my TBR for October 2022, but things happened, and I didn't really read in October. I don't remember. I think it was just a roll, I think. But I did read it. And it was spooky for me because it did have to do with boats. A bit of it had to do with a boat, and I'm afraid of boats and being on boats, and I really can't. So it was really spooky. Some things annoyed me. I mean, obviously it's middle grade, so it was a little predictable. I am not the target audience. I get that. I know. So I would say Lost in the Middle of the Road because it was okay. It was fine. But it's nothing that spectacular. I would put it above Stranger Beside Me by Anne Rule, so we're gonna move that, because, I don't know, I remember Stranger Beside Me, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily garbage can, because it did hook me. I was hook, line, and sinker for that book, but I think Dark Waters has to go above it, because I had a lot of issues at the end of the day with Stranger Beside Me. But Dark Waters was I recommend a spooky middle grade. I really, really enjoyed it. Then I read Wizards of Once, which was a roll from my vlog. It's also a middle grade. It's by Cressida Cowell, and it is magical. One of the main characters, I forget his name. He was insufferable to be in the head of, but I think that's the point. It's like what his character is, but I was intrigued. I did enjoy it. Again, I would have to put it in Lost in the Middle of the Road, but above Stranger Beside Me. I did enjoy it. I did know where it was going. I did feel like I knew what the big twist was gonna be, so no surprise, but again, middle grade. I'm not the target audience. I'm older than that, you know? But it was still a good time. I did enjoy it. It was really quick to read, so that'll have to go in Lost in the Middle of the Road, which is not bad. It doesn't belong in Amazing or Living Rent Free. I forgot to say within the Magical Spring Equinox Magical Readathon, I did read Cry Wolf for my wolf prompts. And this was like the millionth time I tried to read this book, because I've tried other times and didn't get very far. I would DNF it. But I couldn't think of anything else for this prompt, because it had to have like either wolf in the title, wolf on the cover, or wolf in the name of the author. I managed to get wolf in the title and wolf on the cover. But ooh-wee, did I hate this. Garbage Can, I Swear It's Gonna Go by Patricia Briggs. I know there's a lot of Patricia Briggs girlies out there, but why? I'm sorry, you do you. You can love Patricia Briggs all you want. I'm so happy for you, and I'm happy for Patricia Briggs that she has that fan base, but I don't understand it. The writing was not good to me personally. It did not flow. It was very convenient. There was a lot of things that I'm like, what's the point? Where did this come from? It came out of left field. I would really try to find Own Voices reviewers of native stories to know, like, who've read this, to know what they think. But the native representation, I don't know. I don't know if Patricia Briggs is native herself, but I am really a little uncomfy with this book. Part of that for that reason. And if I want to read native stories, like native inspired stories, I'm gonna read them by native authors. So, or if it's not a big aspect of the story, which her books usually are heavily grounded in native, like, culture, lore, or like people in like areas. So I'd rather just read from native authors, and it made me a little uncomfortable. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. It did not flow. It was not good for me personally. That's my opinion. If you have a different opinion, that's great, and I'm happy for you. This is mine. So this is my video. I don't know what to tell you. But it's Garbage Can. I'm not gonna read another Patricia Briggs. She's just not for me. I'm gonna go elsewhere for my native books. So then, I don't know why I'm saying so like that. I don't know. So sorry if that's the problem. I don't even know where it's come from. Then after that, I read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, which I do have the Fairy Loot copy, and it was a roll. So I did read it, and I loved it. I don't know if it got a 5 stars. I do still love it, but I wouldn't say Living Rent Free. It was amazing. It was very high 4. If it was a 5, I don't know. Living Rent Free has to be just for the ones that I really ride or die for. I really loved Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, though. Amazing. Yeah, I would put it amazing, but fell short of perfect, because there were obviously things like conveniences, things were a little predictable, but I enjoyed where it was going. I gobbled up the romance. I gobbled up the setting. It was amazing. I know a lot of people don't like the writing because it's like really academic writing, but I really enjoyed it, because I mean it's this woman trying to write an encyclopedia. She's obviously very academic, very scholarly, so I just enjoyed it. So I really enjoyed that Amazing but fell short perfect. And then I rolled The Maid by Anita Prose. This was another one that I had on my October 2022 TBR, but like I said, things happened. Didn't finish it. And I read it. And I'm gonna have to put Garbage Can, because I remember reading it. It's not lost in the middle of the road. I didn't enjoy it. Like, I was enjoying it to a point, but then it was getting to things that it just was getting annoying. It was predictable. I didn't dislike the main character. The reason is not because I couldn't get along with the main character because of their differences. Like, obviously, she's not as good with social cues. She doesn't understand certain things and takes things really literally. Like, maybe neurodivergent. I don't know if that's the correct way to say it. I'm sorry if it isn't. I'm not sure how else to describe it, because it's not on page what you would call her. Not that she just is not good with social things. So it wasn't because of that. It was because I just couldn't stand seeing the things happening to her. And then things that happened at the end, I was like, where the hell did this come from? Like, no. you lost me. And then I was just getting annoyed, and the romance came out of fucking nowhere. Like, what? Like, no. No. I mean, it was better than Cry Wolf, so I'll give it that, but no. No. It should no for me. I know a lot of people enjoyed it. I was enjoying it, and then I really was not. I really hated it at the end. But I'm happy for people who do enjoy these books that I'm putting in garbage can or DNF. Just not for me. Then was a reread. And oh my god, of course, lives rent free in my brain all the time. This is Vision in Silver by Anne Bishop. It's the third book in the novel of the others. One of my favorite series of all time. I just read the last one. Oh my god. Reread the last one. This is obviously a reread. This is like the millionth time I had read these books, except for the last one. I did not reread that many times. Ooh-wee. Of course, lives rent free. These books live rent free. They've lived rent free since I started them long ago. I've reread the first one millions of times, but I just love this series. I love the characters. It's the slowest of slow burn romances. Meg as a character is so interesting to follow. She's so innocent, like childlike in a way, but she's trying to find a way to live her life. I don't know if you've ever watched my videos. I've explained this book millions of times, but it's about Meg who runs away from... I don't want to give too much away. So Meg just runs away. She finds herself in the courtyard of these others who are Terra Indigen, and they're shifters who can turn into different animals. She gets a job in this courtyard, and it's just her going from there, making these friends. It's pretty much found family. The slowest of slow burn romances. It is so beautiful. I loved it. It's not for everyone. I know it's paranormal romance. I want to reread it already. I love it. Lives rent free. And then, of course, Marked in Flesh was next. Lives rent free. I love Meg. I love Simon. I love all of them. Amazing. Then I rolled Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. The first one in the Skyward series. I have read the first book in the Mistborn series, The Final Empire, and loved it. It did take me a little bit to get into, but I did end up loving that book. So this is the second Brandon Sanderson book I read. I have not continued with the Mistborn yet, but this was the YA sci-fi, and I rolled it for my game in my weekly vlog, and I really love this book. It was so fun. Like, obviously it's not perfect. It doesn't have those purple prose or anything, but there were lines in this book that was like, you know what, you got me. This book had me by the throat. I was having such a good time reading it. Like, I could put it down, but that was only because I was lazy and I just wanted to do other things. But once I was reading it, I was reading it, and it had me like tearing up at certain parts. It had me M-Bot, love him, love that character. I guess I couldn't call him. I love that character. It's so funny. Like, you could say that this is like a juvenile, like some people I've heard say that the humor is kind of juvenile and stuff, but you know what? You can call me whatever you want, but I thought it was funny. Certain parts I was laughing out loud. I can take a silly joke, you know? So, I just enjoyed it. I really loved it. I would say amazing, but fell short of perfect, because obviously there was things that were predictable. I could see certain things coming. But it was still amazing, and I still loved it. And I can't wait to continue and everything. And I know the fourth one is coming out in November, so I'm excited for that. But it was amazing. Amazing. Then I rolled, and then, I think Marked in Flesh, Skyward, and Cinder were all three books that I had rolled for my Singapore trip, and I didn't even read them in Singapore, so I was catching up on them. So Marked in Flesh I did finish first, then then Skyward, because since Marked in Flesh was a reread, I wanted to, do the new one, so Skyward, and I love that. And then Cinder was the one that I needed to be fully caught up on, which is a reread. I love this series. I would say living rent free. This series lives rent free. I do have the Fairy Loot set because I love this series so much. I do have the new paperback copies as well. And back in the States, I do have the original paperbacks, which I do hope to be reunited with at some point. So I have all of them together. I do want all my copies. I'm not going to get rid of any of them, but I love this series. The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. Love it. Cinder, amazing book. Obviously, it's typical YA sci-fi. It is a retelling of like Cinderella, but I love it. I gobble it up whenever I read it. I'm excited to continue. Scarlet is my least favorite, so, but Cinder I love. I'm excited to continue again. I have read all of the series, but I do love it. It lives rent free. I'm a sucker for this series. And then the next one I read was Willow Moss and the Lost Day, which is a middle grade by Dominique Valente, and it was illustrated. I forget who. I apologize. But it was a cute middle grade. It's about Willow Moss, who, it's like there's witches, and she's a witch, and each witch has a different like ability, and her ability is to find lost things, and she thinks that like she's looked at as like her ability is less than, because it's just so mundane, there's nothing extravagant about it, so she kind of looks down on it herself. And then this is her trying to help find the Lost Day Tuesday, and there's this undercurrent of something that she has forgotten, because everyone's forgotten what happened on Tuesday, and it's very touching. The end had me crying because it was very close to home. So it was amazing. It was cute. It was quick. It was fun, except for the end. But I really enjoyed it. I think it had a really good message. I really, really loved it. It was amazing, but fell short. Because obviously it's a middle grade that, you know, I'm not, like, I can see where things were going pretty quickly, but I still enjoyed it. I still loved it, and I really want to continue. And I think that the message of the story is very, very poignant, and I think it's very important. And then that leaves me with, because I have read books since July, which aren't going to be in this, it's going to be in August. But my boyfriend's sister lent me her copy of 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole to read, because she really loved that book. She wanted me to read it, and I did try last week in one of my vlogs to read it. I'll link it, but I got 16-17 pages in and had DNF it. There was a part in it that was an event that is shown in it in the beginning for one of the main characters, and it hit way too close to home with a loved one, and it was literally too close to home. I bawled my eyes out. I was dead inside for that night. It just brought up memories that I wanted to not have to replay, and that's what it made me do. And so my boyfriend's like, you need to not read it. And I also was hating the writing. The writing was more of a list. Like, I did this, he did this, you look like this, blah, 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 blah. It was not for me. So even though I knew that part was not going to be replayed over and over again, verbatim, throughout the book, it still cemented the fact that I can't read that book. And I'm really happy for her that she really loved it, and I can see that people would enjoy this book. It just wasn't for me. I didn't flow, I didn't fit with the writing, and I couldn't get past that. It really, I don't want to say triggered, but it really made me go into that place with things that I don't want to live through every day. So, you know, I did DNF it, and that's the last one that we have on the list. It was a DNF, and I appreciate her letting me use her copy, but fortunately I did have to DNF it, and she was fine with it. And I'm happy that she really enjoyed it. I love when people who don't usually read are able to find a book that really gets them in and sucks them in, and they're able to sit down and read. So that is pretty much it. I've now caught up to July, so August will just be the books for August, which is my birthday month. So I'm excited to see, like, I've already finished 2 books. I'm just flying. That's not always going to be the case. Some months are just going to have a few books, like 3 or 4, or maybe 2. But this was just me getting caught up from January to July. I hope you enjoy. Hopefully as time goes on I get better at doing these videos. It's a work in progress. There's many moving parts, so hopefully it comes together. I'm sorry if it's a bit janky, but bear with me. This is the tier ranking for now. I hope that I can keep using this same tier list so that we can keep adding to it. Pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you've read any of the books, I would love to hear what you think. Again, these are my opinions. If you disagree, that is amazing. We can be respectful and we can coexist, you know? But this is my tier ranking of the books I've read so far this year, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do enjoy my videos, please feel free to give a like and subscribe. I would love to have you here. It really makes my day. It really makes Chibi's day, and we love seeing you here. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.